Mercedes knew exactly what they were doing, so we're going to be going through that and 3 other stories in today's video. So make sure to like this video, and if you want more Mercedes news content like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel by hitting that red button down below. The first story is, Hamilton has total faith Mercedes can build a contending car in 2024 after finishing second in Mexico. Lewis Hamilton heaped praise on Mercedes after he finished in second place at this weekend's Mexico City Grand Prix. The 7-time champion also reiterated his confidence in his team's abilities to build a car that can challenge Red Bull in 2024. Hamilton was running in 5th after starting 6th in the early stages of the race and showed good pace in the first stint as he overtook Daniel Ricciardo before finding himself within DRS range of Carlos Sainz for 4th. Hamilton then undercut Sainz and closed the gap to Charles Leclerc in 2nd. But after the race was red flagged due to Kevin Magnussen's crash, Hamilton went on to the mediums at the restart, while Max Verstappen and the Ferraris were on hards. The Briton showed his wheel-to-wheel prowess as he battled past Leclerc after the restart before holding on to his medium tires for 36 laps to take the checkered flag in a well-earned 2nd place. "Honestly, I just wasn't expecting that today," said Hamilton afterwards. "It's just always a great feeling when you are putting one foot in front of the other and you are progressing." The weekend had been difficult compared to the last race where we just kind of hit the ground running. This weekend I was really digging deep to try and get the setup right, and I think we did a great job, and then qualifying was a little tricky. Obviously, to be far behind the Ferrari, we need to finish ahead of them to keep the constructors, so that's what I was pushing for today. To have progressed so well throughout the early phase of the race and then be challenging for a podium and then 2nd place. It's amazing. I'm really happy with the race. This is Hamilton's 6th podium finish of the year, and when asked whether their improved form gives him confidence in Mercedes heading into 2024, he replied, "I am incredibly proud of my team. As I said at the end of the race, I have total faith in the team. I know we can build a great car. We haven't for the past 2 years, but we can build a great car. There is a lot of engineers. No one wants to copy anybody. They want to find their own way. We are progressing. But I've heard that Red Bull are progressing as well. So we have to be really strategic and really clinical with the moves. They know that already, but in order for us to be battling those guys, they are so quick on the straight, we were losing 2.5 tenths into turn 1. But I believe if we can get, I'm ready. So if we can get a car that can match them, we are going to have some great battles next year." Teammate George Russell started in 8th and ended the race in 6th, holding off a late attack from Daniel Ricciardo to do so. Reflecting on his weekend, he said, "Story of the weekend tires. It was really frustrating. I felt really great after the red flag. I was right behind Carlos, couldn't quite make the overtake, and we had to back off because my brakes were overheating, and we were concerned we wouldn't make it to the end. And as soon as we backed off, I lost all the temperature in my tires, and I just couldn't recover the grip, and it was like a survival to the finish line. I was lucky to finish in P6. The second story is Toto Wolff reveals the truth about Mercedes' drive in Mexico and moving forward. Toto Wolff piled the praise onto Lewis Hamilton and noted that his star driver was, for a change, satisfied with his Mercedes at the F1 Mexico City Grand Prix. Hamilton excellently overtook Ferrari's Charles Leclerc to earn a P2 finish behind Red Bull's Max Verstappen. It was a performance from Hamilton which buoyed Mercedes ahead of 2024, in which they will strive to deliver a better car. Team principal Wolff told Sky that he was pleased with the result. "Yes, absolutely. The smile on our face is because the car is strong. Once Lewis was in free air, we had so much margin on the medium. Hamilton was forced to come from 6th on the grid, a fantastic display which was a welcome reminder of his brilliance, but Wolff was asked if a better qualifying result might have given Hamilton a chance to win the Grand Prix. "Not sure," he said. "It's been a few weekends now where we say, could have, but we didn't. I think we need to qualify better. Probably our straight-line speed wouldn't have been so competitive against Max, but who knows? The base is there." Hamilton expressed fear that his medium tires would not allow him to cling on to P2, but Wolff teased, "It's been 20 years that we've been discussing that during the race they're not going to last. Today it was a first." He said the car was good. "It was a brilliant drive. We have these oscillations in performance." Wolff paid tribute to Hamilton's efforts in Mexico. "One of the very good races that I've seen from him. Because we didn't know if the mediums would hold on. He managed to increase the gap to Leclerc. Formula One makes its return next week in Brazil at the São Paulo Grand Prix, the scene of Mercedes' last victory. A year ago, George Russell's maiden F1 win in Brazil was a rare glimmer of light in an otherwise drab year. Can Mercedes strike again at the same race? Only fools are optimists, Wolff said. I'd rather keep both feet on the ground, qualify well, and hopefully we challenge. Wolff vowed that the recently upgrades to the W14 inspire confidence in what might lie ahead. Yes, it does. It's the route we've been going. We just need to add performance for next year. Following the USGP, Toto Wolff and Lewis Hamilton have consistently been in the headlines, following their reactions to Hamilton DSQ. While Charles Leclerc was also a victim of the post-race plank check, Hamilton faced a bigger loss given his battle for P2 in the Drivers' Championship. After losing out on important points in Austin, Wolff is ready to gamble with the regulations once again. However, F1 commentator and expert Martin Brundle calls the Austrian out for his flippant remarks. Ahead of the Mexico City GP, Wolff and co. are aiming to continue their aggressive approach rather than opt for a conservative setup following Hamilton's DSQ in Austin. The 51-year-old admitted to his team being up for a gamble on the regulations to vie for a race win in Mexico. However, a report from Crash.net quotes Brundle as being entirely against the move. I think Toto is being a bit flippant there. Toto and Lewis have done a very good job this weekend of saying, nothing to see here, look at all these others, they must have been cheating as well. Cheating is too strong a word, found to be outside of the regulations. Fellow pundit and former F1 world champion Jenson Button agreed with the words of Brundle during a coverage show from Sky F1. He claimed it was a flippant remark, and no team would want to get caught for cheating. Given that Mercedes received the ultimate penalty only last weekend, the potential move by Wolff might not be the best decision. As the Austin GP came to an end, the race stewards called 4 cars, driven by Verstappen, Hamilton, Norris, and Leclerc, in for the plank measurements. As only half of those cars were able to pass the test, it called for speculation over the legality of the unchecked cars. Hamilton even blamed the authorities for not being fair by not checking all the cars on the grid. He added that he heard from several sources that many more cars were illegal on the grid after the race. However, Brundle explained the reason behind the selective check, as he said the stewards did so because of the data they saw on their screens. Peter Windsor seconded Brundle's stance on the incident as he added, random spot checking has been a long-standing tradition in the sport. However, he added, the authorities needed to increase the number of spot checks to improve equality within the sport. The third story is Lewis Hamilton reveals secret to getting epic Charles Leclerc pass done with draggy Mercedes in F1 Mexico City GP. Lewis Hamilton says he had to press every button on his steering wheel to overtake Charles Leclerc because his Mercedes F1 car was very slow on the straights. The 7-time world champion finished second behind dominant race winner Max Verstappen in Sunday's Mexico City Grand Prix after overcoming the Ferrari pair of Carlos Sainz and Leclerc. The highlight of Hamilton's race came on lap 40 when he pulled off a spectacular pass on Leclerc to grab second. Hamilton bravely dived down the inside of Leclerc's Ferrari and almost put his wheels on the grass to get the move done. Hamilton explained that he had to extract maximum power out of his Mercedes to compensate for his lack of straight-line speed compared to the Ferrari. This weekend we've been very slow on the straight, Hamilton said in the post-race conference. In general, we're quite draggy on the straights more often than not, but this weekend, like yesterday, we were losing 2.5 tenths just into turn 1 before we even started braking. Ferrari were very slippery on the straights, so trying to follow a closely through turn 16 and 17 was really the only way that I could get close enough and have an opportunity to make the DRS impactful. Finally, I pressed every button on the steering wheel, maximum power. I didn't know how far across he was going to go, but in a split-second decision, I decided to go to the right. There was just enough space there, but Charles was really fair. But yeah, great racing. Speaking to his former McLaren teammate Jenson Button in the post-race television interviews, Hamilton admitted he doubted whether he could make his medium tires last the distance. I wasn't thinking it was going to last, he said about that final stint on the mediums. But I did some real sweet finesse. I was trying to drive like you. He added, it's about how much you're sliding the tire. It's about the balance that you have. If you have too much wing in, too much front end in the car, then the car is like, imagine it a bit like a seesaw. You want to start a long stint, or a stint, with the car understeering, because as the rears go off, the seesaw tips, and then it goes to oversteer. And when it goes to oversteer, that's when you're lost most often. Unless it's the other way around, where the front tires are the issue, for example. And just finding that balance is very, very difficult. And you go out and do your laps of the grid, for example, on a soft tire. It requires a different setting for the medium tire. And I think just focusing on all of the 3 sections and figuring out where you can and can't push. I think today was just a really great balance of lift and coast and tire saving. And it's a technique. I mean, all the drivers know about it. Mercedes reserve driver Mick Schumacher is in discussions to make a stunning return to racing with the Alpine Endurance team. The young German was replaced on the grid at the end of last season,